Missional living captures our commitment here at Signal Pres to do whatever it takes so that everyone within our reach encounters the gospel. So what that means for you, if you give to Signal Pres, is that you are giving to a community that understands one of our main callings is to give ourself away for the sake of our world and our neighbors. This is expressed in our budget here at Signal Pres. 1 out of every $5 that you give to Signal Pres goes to support community ministries, international ministries, and our Embrace ministry to special needs families. And so we want to share with you 2 ways that over the last 7 months, your giving to Signal Pres has allowed us to bless and care for our neighbors and grow relationships so that the gospel could spread.
2020 has brought a lot of challenges to our partners. One of our partners in South Africa, Charis Global, which is run by Jenny and Marsha, typically present ministry on several levels, but COVID gave them a brand new challenge of feeding the hungry. It is not in the definition of their ministry that they feed the hungry daily. As the children were all sent home, the parents were sent home, what happened is these families were starving. The children they typically took care of on a daily basis during the school care were starving. They came up with a way with one of their local partners there to deliver boxes of food. They reached out to us and said, "Can you help us? Can you send more funds? We're having to buy boxes of food now suddenly." And we did. We supplied boxes and boxes of food, and they went out delivering. The delivery partner looked at a house of a lady that he knew had helped the ministry at one point, wasn't necessarily on the list, but he felt the need to go knock on that door, knocked on the door and said, "We have a box of food for you." And she just was astounded and said, "We have just finished praying for food because we just ate our last bite of bread." That's just one of the many ways our small contributions have done miraculous things in the name of the Lord across the ocean.
Kids of Growth is a ministry to the children and families in the west side of Chattanooga, which is the College Hill Courts housing project downtown. College Hill Courts is the largest housing project. It's the poorest housing project. It is the most underserved community in Chattanooga. It also has the highest crime rate. But the Kids of Growth ministry works with the children and families in developing relationships.
I just remember kind of waking up the day after kind of everything had shut down back in March, and pretty sure at that point it was only going to be for like 2 weeks. It was kind of like the initial shutdown. But even with that, I just remember kind of thinking about Kids of Growth and Amy, who's the director and founder of the ministry. And so I texted her and I said, "I know that a lot of the kids from Kids of Growth kind of receive resources from the school, and they're not going to have that now for a couple of weeks. And so just, is there anything that we can do?" She just kind of responded back and she said, like, "I'm not sure, maybe sack lunches to send home with the kids, or maybe grocery bags that we could, send home." And that was sort of how it initially began. And then it turned into 10 weeks going down every Thursday and delivering anywhere between 30 to 40 grocery bags. And the whole thing felt like something that just kind of evolved. Like, we didn't really go into it with a plan. We just kind of kept saying, like, we can do this, we can figure it out, let's just keep trying. And this is just sort of what transpired.
Yeah, it was really neat to see how it just kind of all naturally developed. And people did what they were comfortable doing, what they felt led to do, and maybe even what they weren't comfortable doing. But obviously we had people drop off groceries. My garage was full at all times, just with copious amounts of hamburger helper and pudding and cereal boxes. And I began to think that my neighbors probably thought I was hoarding groceries in my garage. And then, like Camille said, we had donations of money coming in. Carol would tell Camille how much we had to spend, and we couldn't believe each week. We'd be like, "Oh my gosh, we have this much money to spend on groceries." And it was amazing, the generous support that the church gave during that time.
And there was one lady that we kind of from the very beginning, had been taking a grocery bag to every week. And so for the first couple of weeks, she just kind of received it, and we would just have a little bit of conversation with her. And then after a couple of weeks, she actually would come to the parking lot that we met in, and she would meet us there, and she would want to walk with us to make all of the deliveries. And then even after a couple weeks of her doing that, there was one Thursday in particular after we had finished kind of all of our deliveries, and she pulled out some cash that she had in her pocket, and she gave it to us. And she told us that she had just received her stimulus check that week, and she said, "I don't need all of this money. I want you to have it, and I want you to use this to purchase groceries for next week." And and it was $200, and that was huge.
I still have people asking me, what can we do? What can we do? And we really appreciate the way the church has come alongside this ministry before coronavirus, during coronavirus, and now, and it's just going to continue to grow as time goes on.
What beautiful pictures of how God is at work among us, calling us, using us so that the ordinary work of love could take place, both here in Chattanooga and around the world. I want to thank you for giving. We want you to know that your giving is making a difference so that the name of Jesus could be lifted high.